proud to be sponsored by Diamond Bright, the car care products that have been keeping the furious fleet looking their best for a long time already. To find all you need to keep your car clean and protected, follow the link below to diamondbright.co.uk. Hello, welcome to Furious Driving, and today I am lurking in the drive with the little Rover 200 VI, Vin Petrol, which has had a little issue last time you saw him in the fact that he was dumping his coolant at an alarming rate. Well, it was initially dumping at an alarming rate, but then managed to stop. I'm going to get my headphones out because I was listening to some audible, oops, and now it's echoing when I'm talking. That's very strange. Right, so, yeah, a couple of housekeeping. People were commenting that when it dumped at such a large amount of coolant, they thought it must have been an airlock that was causing it, but I really don't think it was, because it had done quite a few miles in between the radiator being changed and that happening, because my wife had been using it for a few days, because the best part of a week, in fact. She had a puncture in her new shape Mini, but you couldn't get a tyre for love nor money. It took about a week to get a replacement tyre in. So she was taking it back and forth to work, didn't have any issues at all. I think it was losing coolant at a very, very tiny amount down there, but not at an alarming rate. So all I can assume is not that it was an airlock, because it would have shown itself before that. But because we got on the motorway and it's a sustained, long, high-speed blast, it must have been getting warm. The water was cool, the coolant was circulating, and it just took advantage to blast a bunch of coolant out at that point. Because after that, it only used a very, very tiny amount on the way home. And I've just taken it for a short drive just to kind of just check things over and get things done. Oh, incidentally, I've also had the tracking redone, because after I had the tyres fitted a little while ago, the tracking was done at the time, but it was pulling to the left a little bit still. So I took it back to the place that did it for me, and they were happy to just stick it back on the ramp and tweak it, and now it's tracking straight and true. Anyway, having driven it a short distance, I've seen a large amount of pink drink down here underneath the inlet manifold, which is nice and difficult to get to. There's a couple of possible culprits in this area. There are a couple of Jubilee clips which I can probably nip up. We'll have a look at them, see if they do the trick. Failing that, it's going to be something more devastating to achieve. Right, now before we get into this repair, if you would like to hear some exciting NEC Classic Show news, then stick around to the end, because we've got discounts and a competition for that show. Right, so first easy option is let's get these Jubilees clips nipped up. They're a tad loose, but not enough you might think it was leaking with any great aplomb. Okay, so having failed to make any difference by nipping up these two Jubilee clips in the culprit area, I've moved on to the 10mm bolt on the side of this plastic casing, and having nipped it up, I've immediately seen just a little rivulet of coolant squeaking through there. So I've found my culprit, but I don't know why I can't get it to tighten up anymore. Anyway, it's almost impossible to reach, and I can't retighten it anymore without risking damaging the plastic that I'm screwing into. Right, I can't see where the other bolts are on the back of that water thingy connector jobby, so I can get in with the Wi-Fi endoscope and have a bit of a probe around. So there is one more, it's just absolutely impossible to get to. Excellent. Right, after doing some insane yoga maneuvers to get this 10mm past that support strut down there and onto that using a bit of a convoluted way, it looks like we're not losing fluid. Let's fire the engine up and see what happens. Okay, right. I've mopped up a fair amount of water from down there. I keep calling it water, it's coolant obviously. Looks like I might have done the trick. I'll take it around the block and see what happens. Incidentally, have you seen the Furious Driving keyrings that are available on the website and at all the shows I attend? These are license plates, as in the American license plate style. Bargain price, aluminium, made here in the UK. Right, so we are out onto a nice country lane to give it a wee bit of a blast and see what the result is, basically. Put a couple of miles on it, see if the water starts coming back, because it was staying dry idling in the driveway. Temperature is sitting where it normally does. by doing sort of 40-50 miles an hour on country lanes, we're not getting too much airflow through like we would on the motorway, so it should run up to temperature. It is running to temperature. Should open the thermostat at least, get that circulating, which is what you want, because then we'll find the faults. This is such a fun little car. It's interesting though. It's in some ways it's great fun because it's really revvy. It handles nicely, but on the other hand, it's dependable. Apart from when it brakes quite a lot, but it's also a little bit, I don't know, a bit mumsy, a bit not exciting in some ways. It's funny. I do like it a lot though. I've got a lot of time for this car. Right, let's go pull over in a second. I've probably done enough miles to get a base reading on this. Right, moment of truth. There's a tiny bit of seepage. Ouch! It's also extremely hot. From the top seam, the same place it was coming out of before. Not as bad as it was previously, so we've definitely done good. We just haven't done good enough. Level hasn't moved one iota on there, but yeah, we have still got a tiny seep. Let it cool down and battle it a little bit more. But at least we know where it's coming from. It's not a major leak, it's just an annoyance. Just keep on looking at that. Okay, right, so possibly good news, maybe not. Been back in there for 2 or 3 more times, nipping carefully more and more. Found the third bolt on the bottom and it's nipped up as tight as I can. And hopefully I've got it. I have to wait until the morning to see exactly how much has come out. But maybe we can give this car a clean bill of health and actually start driving it again without worrying too much. Right, so after a bunch more extreme yoga, I managed to get a little bit more attention on the easy to see nut, the one you can almost not see, and the third one which is hidden underneath it. Did my knuckles some extreme damage, but it looks like we are now, 24 hours later, no longer oozing water at any great rate of knots. Let's turn the engine on and have a look. Yeah, it looks okay now. It's been sat for a day and it hasn't poured water out. And we see the residue from the previous leak, nothing else. And there's actual visible beads of water or coolant coming out all the time. So I think we're good there. So there we have it. For the third time I can say the 200VI is now ready to use and be a reliable everyday car and be used as much as possible. All it's taken is some extreme pain and some 10mm sockets and spanners, and we are there again. So hopefully this is now all good. I don't believe it was an airlock. I think it was just that. I think it's a thermostat housing down there that was just an awkward plastic thing that just needs to be tensioned up just right, and then it's okay. So fingers crossed, we're all good. Anyway, time will tell, and the 200VI will get a bit more use, and hopefully that tank will stay the same level. Although of all the Rovers I've owned, Quentin is the only one that's managed to maintain a completely level header tank. I've sold the good one. This one I think should be good as well. Anyway, right, you stuck around to the end. Now here is the good news. First of all, if you want to come to the NEC Classic Show up at the NEC in Birmingham, I will be back there with Ian from Hubnut on a stand together. We are still TBC about which cars to bring. We are having in-depth, frantic discussions trying to decide what might actually be working on the day. That will probably be the ultimate decider, but we will be there up at the NEC for the Classic Show. If you would like money off getting into the show, then hit the link in the description below, which will give you a couple of quid off, making your entry into that event a little bit cheaper. If you would like to chance your arm at a completely free entrance, I've got a pair of tickets to give away to one lucky viewer. So all you have to do is answer the following question. That just there parked next to me right now is my Ford Crown Victoria Police Interceptor. All you have to do is tell me what state my Crown Victoria was based in. It was in a little town called Beechwood, but what state is Beechwood in? head back to the Crown Victoria playlist, you'll find one that details its entire history, and I think I've mentioned it more than one time, and there's even a keyring in the Furious Driving store which has got that written on it. There are clues aplenty around the channel. Entries will close on the 31st of October, giving us about a week and a half, 2 weeks almost, to get the email code over to you so you can sort your tickets out before the show. If you do win, make sure you come and say hello. Right now, back to the video. Email your answer to shop@furiousdriving.co.uk. Thank you for watching, and don't forget to subscribe, like, hit the bell notification, and enter the competition to win yourself some tickets to the NEC. And if you do come up, make sure you come and say hello to me and Ian on the stand and see what car we finally decided to bring. Right, now let's go and get a cup of tea.